postpone till next month. I don't think we have anybody from DYCD either for Summer Rising, do we?
No, they said they needed 2 weeks notice at minimum.
Okay, Bob, are you prepared to talk about Summer Rising?
Sure.
Okay, that'd be fine. At least we can get a little bit of.
You got to know about me is I'm prepared to talk all the time, girl. But I would say this to Rosa and everybody else, Andrew, I see who are Eric, Sandra, Ron, Gabby, you. This program is a program driven by the DOE, not DYCD. It's different than last year. But before I say anything about the summer and Summer Rising, I should just say that Manhattan Youth has a plethora of summer programs. We're starting our beach volleyball program for kids this weekend. So, and we just have so much going on at the community center. I apologize. My birds don't like when I raise my voice. But we have a lot of stuff going on. Our attendance during after school and during the spring is not back to where we used to be, but and that's a challenge. But overall, I think at some point would be beneficial for me to understand what's going on as far as enrollment in schools. But anyway, so we got a lot going on. Gabby's on the call here. We're working really hard. But I did not bring my people onto the call. There was a little bit of a slight mix-up between us and the agenda. I don't know what you want to know about Summer Rising but let me just say what I said last time. We're running a K through 5 program at 276. We're running a 6 through 8 program at LMC and at IS 89. LMC and IS 89 are programs we were running, well, 89 for sure, before there was a DYCD contract. We are obligated under our year-round contract for LMC and DYCD, but I lobbied for at least getting one program downtown, and that's a 276. I think I found out yesterday, because we weren't sure, that Terry will be working the summertime, so that's going to be fantastic for those kids and for us. The city is moving towards, as long as they got the money, towards this year-round schooling, which is a hybrid of DOE-driven programs and using community-based organizations in the afternoon, very similar to what we've been doing now for 30 years. There's the day school and the after school. Well, in the summer, it's the day school and the after school. The teachers, some of the teachers are staying, some of the principals are staying. I'll stop. I mean, does anybody have any specific questions that maybe I could answer?
Well, I think Rosa brought this.
DYCD, that's for sure.
Well, Rosa brought the item to us originally. There's also a high school work part of this program that was of interest to several people, in addition to what the offerings were going to be for the K through 8 kids. So if you have any information, Bob, about...
I'm sorry, Trish, I didn't hear you. On the high school programs?
Well, there's high school job programs that are part of Summer Rising.
Yes.
And then there are also academic supports with the K to 8 part of Summer Rising. I think there were people that were kind of interested in whether or not there was space in it, a little more information about it. Maybe I'll let Rosa...
Yeah, please.
Speak up, because she was the one that brought it to us.
Hi, guys. How's everybody doing?
Good, Rosa.
Thank you so much for discussing this. So I am one of the parents who actually did participate in Summer Rising last year at 276, and my son really, really enjoyed it. And I tried to apply for Summer Rising this year as well, But I had a morning meeting that day, so I wasn't able to log in until probably just after 11. And I guess by then, all the spots were gone, but I didn't realize that because I just couldn't find the school. And so I knew that our school, which is PS 150, was assigned to 276, but I couldn't find 276. So I just assumed they were having technical difficulties. And it wasn't until, many days later that I realized that it wasn't technical difficulty. It was just that there weren't any spots available. And I'm frankly sort of shocked that, they're like, I don't know, concert tickets or something where you have to line up in advance or whatever for something that's so essential. And so I was wondering if there's any ability to add more spots, because I don't think there are. I don't know how quickly they went. But I also am concerned because I realized that when you look on the map that the DOE put out for Summer Rising, that there are very, very few locations downtown. Right. And then once I did finally realize, it wasn't an internet error. It was that the spots were all gone. Then I was like, oh, okay, so maybe I should look and see what else is available. And the only thing that was available was in Queens. So obviously there's enormous demand. Obviously it, was, immediately, taken up. It was obviously very successful. But I'm wondering if there is going to be any attempt to actually meet the demand, which seems pretty high. And from just talking to some other parents about it, or parents that have asked me, same thing, they were interested, and then they just, weren't able to react quickly enough.
Yeah. The answer to that, as I started off, this is a lot of parents who are in our schools downtown, when they heard we were running it, contacted us, and they contacted more than us, they contacted the principals. And a lot of the principals sent out notices. This was driven by the DOE to get online on, I forget the date, the first day, and register. And that then, filled up the school. I await further thought. I await guidance, which is hard to get. We could probably accommodate some more, but we have 300 kids in PS 276. We're staffing up, not an easy task. So yeah, it's going to school year round. It's 9 to 5. It's 7 weeks a year, and it's free. Yeah, so I will find out what the it's almost similar to the dilemma. I'm sorry but this would be interesting for you, Rosen. If they ever decided to make after school for elementary free, which they don't have, like they do middle school, which I've been advocating for many years, they don't have the money for that, because everybody would want to go to after school K to 5, because people in K to 5 need quality childcare, and they want great programs. So what you're seeing here is huge demand. And I don't know if they would ever, if Mayor Adams or anybody, Kathy Hochul, would say keep the schools open all year round. But that would be the only way to accommodate the dramatic need. Maybe you can shave off 20%, 30% of students for the summer, but not much. And that's what you see. And does that make any sense, Rosa?
That totally makes sense. It's crazy because when you look at the cost of the programs, right? And then, the quality of the program. So first of all, I actually didn't know that Manhattan Youth was doing 276. So that's awesome. And that makes me even sadder that we missed out.
Yeah. So we'll go offline on this, but I'll try to see
But the other thing is I agree with you 100%. And I think that the need is even especially greater now, given what we know about the whole, the learning loss during the pandemic, the sort of
Oh, yeah.
emotional and social sort of fragility of our kids as they're, getting back into the rhythm of being in person and, and trying to sort of catch up. I think that the
Yeah.
catching up part makes almost the social, and I know that there's been an enormous effort in terms of social and emotional issues
Yeah.
during the school day, but I also think it's just so packed that it's really hard for them to have enough time to actually like interact, because there's just so much that they sort of need to catch up on, and the homeschooling thing wasn't working. So
Yeah, Rosa, you brought up a point that had on my notes here. We are seeing in after school, and I'm sure the schools in the daytime are seeing this. We're seeing a tremendous amount of, I don't know what to say, discombobulated children, families, stressed out, acting out. And I don't know for sure if Summer Rising is the antidote for that, but it can't hurt. And it gets kids back into playing and get back into school. And you raised that point correctly, that we're seeing a lot of incidents of children, older more than younger, but significant amounts. And I just was talking to my staff. Gabby could tell you about it yesterday. I'm getting incident reports, and it's really an issue. On the issue of opening up schools year round, there's always been talk about it, but there's never been money for it. And one of the reasons they use community-based organizations for part of the day is we're cheaper. I mean, our reimbursement rate is, I still don't know if we're going to make the budget, but I'm going to try. It's not a large amount of reimbursement compared to the unionized teachers, the unionized schools, and all those costs. So we do a significant part of that day with some great people. I've always been advocating that after school workers should be unionized. All my other executive directors don't like when I say that, but I'll find out. Probably a lot of. I'll talk to Tasha, who's in my office, who is getting the bread. We got a lot of parents at the beginning, like 2 weeks ago, who didn't get it, and it sort of tapered off. I don't know if parents gave up. Like, can I ask you, Rosa, like, what will you do instead of, what's the idea?
Honestly, I haven't figured it out yet. I've planned and busy, and so I'm looking at a whole bunch of different options, and I haven't booked a single thing yet. So I'm sort of in trouble. And I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Yes, we contacted some friends who are funders. If someone, when 89 got their budget cut during the Bloomberg administration, believe it or not, one of the parents just came and wrote a $100,000 check to keep the program going. And, if someone gave us money, we're not great fundraisers. If someone gave us money, we could expand those slots. DYCD wouldn't have really, or DOE would have nothing to say about it. But I don't think on this short notice, and it would be great to open up like Peck Slip down by the seaport. It would be great to open up that school.
Well, Peck has its whole other issues this summer because they have the whole 250 water mercury issue. So I think that I had heard that the plan was to actually do a lot of the work during the summer when the school is.
Okay. Well, then maybe Spruce Street School, or the new.
Yeah.
But something, it would be good. We could run another program. It's very short notice. It's not easy, but the good news for me, not to show you how we do it, and for Gabby, is, I got a lot of great workers, and now they're going to have work over the summer. So that's really good. It's a good paying job. So that's good. And we have great staff. I'm really proud of them. So, if we ever ever got more programs, like next year, it's not, I don't know how many programs there are. I talked to Kelly, the superintendent. I don't know how many elementary school programs there are in District 2. I could probably find that out.
Yeah, there's very, very few. At least
Why,
down-
Rosa? I'm sorry, my birds are really, hey, quiet.
That's all right. But I guess my point is just that if you are working and trying to get stuff done and you have to drop off your child in Queens and then go pick them up again afterwards,
Doesn't work.
no, it's impossible. So yeah, that's not a great workable
It doesn't
option.
work. It doesn't work for working parents. You want to keep this economy going. That's our mission. You gotta have childcare.
Yeah.
And we do have slots in our downtown day camp, but that's privately funded.
Right. Yeah. Well, that may be a route that I have to go. and
Sorry?
yeah. Right.
Maybe there's something else that we can do in terms of bringing attention to the fact that there are people that want to go that can't get a spot, Rosa. I think, a good first start would be to reach out to the DOE, which we will do, and see what's going on.
Maybe
know.
give us an extra 50 slots.
Yeah, maybe that's the answer. We'll
They
have to
might
see.
have that flexibility. I mean, parents, you may be able to, we lobbied them for more slots. They wanted to give us a certain amount and we just lobbied them for more.
Right. And I think that can work, Rosa. So let's see what we might be able to do, in terms of that approach.
Yeah,
would
keep
be-
me updated, so because I would have to find staff,
Right.
but I could.
We should move on that right now. So we will. Too bad they weren't able to come, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We have a lot that's postponed to next month. We have we have a really big meeting next month, but
Next month will be too late.
it's going to be too late for them. So we'll have to do that behind the scenes between now and. full
I
board.
agree.
We are also behind the scenes and not on this agenda, but I wanted to give an update is Trinity Place School. We still have, I spoke with Lucian today. We are in touch with the DOT about getting our answers on the bus drop off, the plaza. Nico has spoken to them about the hours for shutting that street. The permits have gone in for shutting that street. So that's the good news. I don't have specifics yet, but I will by June, but it's happening. I'm going to go visit the location actually tomorrow morning at rush hour just to see what's going on down there. If anybody wants to join me. So far what I'm understanding is they don't want to pave it to curb level across that western lane. They're concerned about emergency traffic until they figure out what they're doing with Greenwich Street. That does not mean it will never happen. But it means for now, we are going to have the street closed off during drop off and pickup. We are going to hear back from them on their fire safety plan, if they all need to leave the building for a fire drill or a real fire at other times, which I've yet to hear and we need to hear. So that information, hi Wendy, that information we will have by next meeting, but I just want everybody to know that it's happening behind the scenes. A lot of these people couldn't make this meeting tonight, and a lot of people couldn't deliver the information I needed by tonight, but we're really close on a couple things. Speaking of which, our last item is the Harbor School update. We are finally getting some momentum there, to try to keep this short. When Margaret Chin went to work on this deal with the trust as this ULURP was taking shape over on Governor's Island, the word has it that she was the one, and it might have been, a conversation. It could have been a situation where they were all just, knocking heads about what would be great to be able to do, which is something that one does when you're envisioning a new possibility of space with the ULURP. And they discussed, wouldn't it be great to have a competition pool so that other people could use the pool, so that other schools could race in the pool, we could hold meets in the pool. This is a really great idea. The SCA made it very clear, however, that they don't have the funding or the situation for a competition pool. I think it's really important for us to, go back to the origins of this deal for the SCA. You know me, I'm never one to shy away from going
Yeah,
for
they love
more.
you.
I'm not going to shy away when I know something's been promised. The pool that was promised is a dive pool. The pool that's promised is a pool that can give Harbor School kids their diving certificate. They need to learn how to swim. They need a swimming certificate. So really the fight we're fighting is for this regulation gym. And I think that, and the lawn, so that we can do it. So I want to just make sure I say this publicly because there's a little bit of mishmash going on with messaging. And, I'm in very close touch with the Harbor School and working with them, several times, weekly. We are presently working on getting that pool to be longer than the SCA gave us in the drawing. They have it at 60 feet, and we are pushing for 75, which is a standard pool length. It's not to be a, it's not going to make it a regulation pool. And I just want to make sure to go on the record for saying that, because there's some misunderstanding about what I had been advocating for, what I agreed to help the Harbor School with. And I want to make sure the Harbor School and I spoke as recently as this morning about this, and we're all on the same page. So we'd like them to extend it to 75 feet. In that courtyard, they have 100 feet to work with. So the SCA, as usual, has been very secretive about their plans. One of the things I'd like to change going forward is I want to advocate and pass a resolution as soon as we have a little more information about how the SCA shares information with principals and with stakeholders as they go to build facilities for schools. We're still having issues. I remember back when 276 was built, Terry Ryder walked into that school. The layout made absolutely no sense to her. And, there was lots of wasted space there as a result of having not consulted her while they were laying out the school. Architects understand space like nobody can, but educators understand classrooms. So, so I want to ensure everybody that that is the fight we're fighting. We are working very hard to get this regulation gym, which cannot happen in the courtyard in the way that the SCA planned, which was stacked on top of the pool in the courtyard. And so we are very much trying to get that to change. We still do not have a lease, but I do expect to have an update for you, like solid update by our June meeting. And I hope to have some visitors. So I may even make an announcement at the full board if I have information by then. So are there any, I see Sandra, you've had your hand up. I'm so sorry. I want to call on you and see if it has to do with this or the last item. Please let me know.
It has to do with Bob Townley. So, first, thank you, Mr. Townley, for being available for tonight's discussion. I also am echoing what Ms. Rosa Chang is saying of trying to apply, but, the slots were filled quickly. I'm a downtown resident. So it was shocking just to see just one area, like one school available for so many slots that could possibly take place, because there's about six, seven elementary schools in the downtown Tribeca, Battery Park, Five Isles section. So it was just disheartening to see that. I myself work at Stuyvesant High School, and I was asked to try to work in the summer to also help out. So I would love to help out, but it's like I can't help my school out if I don't have childcare. So it's kind
Yeah.
of one of those things, right?
Yep.
So
Sandra,
yeah,
I would just say that not only the downtown schools are zoned for 276, but there are summarizing 276, but there are a significant amount of other schools zoned. I use the word zoned loosely for 276 that are not in Community Board 1, and some of them, and this is just by memory, my staff would have been here, some of them are zoned as far as Community Board 4.
Mm.
Cut down, which is fine, but you know, they're moving people around, and the DOE is, you know, that's how they did it. So anyway, I'm sorry, Sandra, to cut you off, but
no.
it's more than just those schools. I would have done it differently, but no one asks me.
I know, right? They never involve the real true stakeholders of these things. So like again with Rosa, if if there's anything ever available, there's a way to reach out to parents like myself. My son actually doesn't go to a DOE school; he just goes to a private school. But still, there's still a need for
Yeah,
affordable childcare.
you know, it's not absurd for you or for Rosa or for our ace Trisha to contact the DOE, and you know there might be something that could be done. I don't know what it is, but it's got to be done quickly for working parents. I don't know. Also, I don't like the registration process, so I don't know how many people didn't get in who wanted to get in. It's
Right.
not winter. You know, I just say one other thing. We don't turn anybody away in our after school programs, elementary or middle school, because we do the registration. We've never turned kids away. So we don't do this registration. It's the DOE, not even DYCD.
Yeah, and we love Manhattan Youth because we were participants since my son was a couple of months old, taking swim classes and some after school programs
Yeah.
throughout his education. So knowing that Manhattan Youth was going to be part of this Summer Rising program, I'm also
Yeah,
like Rosa, like heartbroken. So,
It would be, you know what would be fantastic in the future for the kids, to have access to some facility at Governor's Island for these kids, the middle school kids. The little kids are too young to put on the ferry. But I'm trying to work with Governor's Island so that kids can have a good summer. The middle school kids. Hey, Sandra, is your child a middle schooler?
elementary, 3rd grade.
Yeah, 3rd grader. Okay.
Yeah.
School
So-
programs are full too.
I know. And it, like I said, it breaks my heart because I would love to help out my school because they also are in need for the social emotional component of the school.
Yeah.
That's my thing. And it's just like I can't even say yes because I don't have any affordable childcare or the childcare that is available. I would have to commute. It's like this is, right, in my backyard and it'd have been accessible. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's put the community board to see if there's some, maybe Chris Marte or whoever. Let's see if we can get a couple, let's see what we can do. I would love to make it a little narrower or make it means tested, like you got to be working. I don't know. I just that's beyond my pay grade.
Right. And then this was another question that has nothing to do with Summer Rising or the Harbor School, but it was something that I'm starting to think of. So I noticed that downtown area we have Pier 25, but we don't have, and we have the baseball field that is utilized by Manhattan Youth. but we don't have like a track and field area like the Lower East Side, like the East River Park. And I say this because I also coach track at my school.
Oh,
And
fantastic.
all the downtowns, all the downtown schools, we have to rely to going to Icon Stadium or the East River,
Yeah.
which is super packed with people,
Yeah.
or out in Queens. And it's just like, we don't have anything for the downtown area as opposed to a track and field. Has there
Well-
ever been a proposal to
No.
start construction on a track and field?
So,
Let me just say to answer that and say that because we operate it. We don't control the baseball fields at Pier 25.
Okay.
That is a park trust, but there's still no track. And what we do with our kids, and I think what you do with the Stuyvesant kids, is you run around Pier 25 on the pavement, and it's a long run, but that's what people do. I mean, I don't think that, I don't know what other options are. It's sort of packed, but people run around the pier, around the pier and up and down the path.
so what I can tell you, Sandra, is that my daughter runs track and field, and I had this discussion when they were deciding what was going to be on the new pier up further up the Hudson. And I think that, the problem is the size, and it doesn't fit on the piers. And
Yeah.
do a regulation track. And so they really had a challenge because there wasn't the space for a track. There was even a discussion, which some members might recall. We had an architect come from, and Wendy might be able to help me out, one of our universities, Pratt, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was Pratt.
Pratt, and they came and talked about possibly building a state-of-the-art facility over the tunnel, the battery tunnel.
Yes. Yes.
Because that air is available to buy or to have, the city owns it. And it would be a really logical place to do something on that scale. We could also do it at World Trade 5. The footplate's there, I'm just saying. But
on World Trade 5, Tricia,
yeah,
Bill Bialowski, and was sort of has drawings that I think at some point we should present to the youth committee. Andrew is organizing it all, and Bill's done it. Bill's the former president of the Downtown Soccer League and an architect. I think at some point, we haven't discussed 5 World Trade. We haven't gotten any answers on 5 World Trade, but I think that you should see what Bill could tell you could be done there in a field house or in a large gym.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people in line for that space, and I get it. I do think it's something we should keep alive. My daughter goes to 165th Street. And it's, obviously, in fact, I'm concerned about it because the school, what they say is, if you don't want to go to 165, just go to the gym and log your times and send them in. And I think, this is my point with not building regulation gyms. There is an unseen cost of community building, team building, accountability, sacrifice, work ethic. I think that we're asking our kids to do something so unreasonable that we're then letting them out of it. We're telling them they can go work out at a gym at 16 years of age by themselves. That is completely the opposite of what sports is supposed to do for our children. And I don't blame the coaches because they have a lot of kids who live in, especially at her school, they're going to 165 and they have kids that live in Windsor Terrace. That's an hour and a half home.
Yeah.
So, and in the winter, it's dark, it's complicated. The
Right.
DOE isn't giving them enough. They aren't giving them enough rides. We fought that fight. I fought that to the nth. They still won't give them the rides on the subway. to get them to practice at home.
Right.
Schools are not paying for that. They don't even see the coaches. They all go to practice separately because of the lack of facilities.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, there aren't enough hours in the day to talk about all the problems we have with sports programming in this city.
Right.
And it's amazing to me that even with all of the screaming and yelling and looking them right in the eye and saying, just do this, you have to just do this, that they don't do it.
Right.
I think, you know, they don't have to do it. And I think that's part of the problem is there's a lot of lack of accountability with them and the way they treat sports facilities as amenities and not infrastructure. So, you know, we'll continue fighting the fight, but I just wanted to give you some backstory on that because we did go to bat every time there was a project that came up that involved a space swap. And we just didn't have the proper foot plates.
And-
So,
I
Mr.
empathize
Rosa
with
has her hand up.
Yeah, I empathize with your daughter because I know for the winter, for the indoor track, yes, we go to 165th Street, but now it's outdoor season. So it's like, where do we go? You know, so we have full-fledged, you know, track and field team. Like we have javelin, we have long jumpers, high jumpers, and we can't do that at Pier 25. We
Yep,
have
yep,
practice
yep,
relays.
yeah, you got to go to Verizon. That's the only place you can go is Verizon or Icon.
Right.
And there is one on the Upper West Side, but it's like Riverdale. And it's, you know, it's not
Yeah, and
ideal.
it's hard because then we have a lot of students that drop out, and it's just like we have so many schools downtown that could utilize that and just, you know, make it into a sports area. And because right now what we're doing for our borough champions, we have to go all the way to DeWitt Clinton High School in the Bronx for Manhattan Borough Championships. And it's just like, it
Yes.
makes no sense. We don't have anything downtown.
I know, it's
expensive.
incredible.
Terrible.
Yeah.
It really was amazing because they use the space really creatively when you build a track. You know, a lot can be accomplished in the middle of that field. And
And the
we
business,
have
we
spent
can
a lot of time
revenue
talking
stuff.
about it.
Yeah, we can, you know,
Yeah.
revitalize downtown all over again by having these facilities and having food courts and just the foot traffic and the things that can happen on the weekend. It's just like, I wish people would use their brains. But okay, I said enough.
No, it's good to talk about it again because, you know, as we go, at least we can ask the question with World 5. I can poke my nose in there and really use that situation to revive the conversation about the battery tunnel. I think that was a really great idea that they had. It's obviously very expensive, but you know, it could be a revenue stream for sure. No question.
So Rosa, you've had your hand up for a while. I just want to make sure we go over you while we're still.
Yeah, thank you. I was just curious, how about the Murray Bertram track and field that's near the Manhattan Bridge?
That's the Verizon.
Oh, that's the Verizon one. Okay. And is that one like accessible and usable? Because my son had his very first track event there, and I was sort of surprised. It was like the first time I've ever seen it in use.
It's booked 24/7.
And then you have
Yeah.
to pay a fee, and you have to pay a fee. 'Cause every time I pass by, it's like, when I see it, it's empty. And it's
Yeah.
like, let's utilize that at least for practice or something. But it's not regulated for like to have actual meets for high school. I don't know about middle school. I know I went there when I was in a middle school, we did it. But my understanding is like there's a fee involved.
Yeah.
There is a fee involved.
Yeah.
For
Okay,
sure.
so that's why it's not in use, because I would imagine that maybe they would lower the fee and actually get something, and then people would actually use
Not,
space, or no?
It is in use, Rosa. It's in use all day. It
Okay.
really is. If you
Yeah,
saw it, if you
yeah.
saw it empty, that's unusual
Okay,
for sure.
okay.
no, if it was 2 a.m, it was okay.
I think some of it has to do with security as well and people opening it. It's locked all the time. So,
Cool.
you know, if it's not in use, it's probably because they don't have staff.
Right. That's a good point, Wendy.
And you
Absolutely.
know, even in Battery Park, you pay for the space. You know, if you use their common room, if you use their fields, you know, you can, you know, there's small fees. Some of them are bigger than others, but you know, I don't think there's a space out there that is quote unquote free to an individual.
No. There is not.
Ugh.
So thanks for bringing that up. I'm gonna, let that bake and see what we might do about that.
Okay, so my brain is baking. It just occurred to me that that what I'm considering as stage 3 of Brooklyn Bridge Manhattan may actually be large enough to accommodate a track and field space. It's not flat though, and it would
It's not,
have to stay mostly hardscape. And there are a lot of limitations, and we don't know yet what's happening with regards to all of the ramps, going on and off both the FDR and the Brooklyn Bridge. But
Mhm.
just I don't know, a spark went off, so maybe we can, offline we'll continue that discussion. It's a long time out, but some time is better than not having anything at all, for sure.
Absolutely. That's how all of everything we've gotten done down here was a spark of like a what if. So
Yeah.
don't throw away any ideas. I mean, I think about Peck Slip all the time. That was the funniest was, when that post office said it was going to close, who was thinking school? Only Paul Hovitz. So it was
Shelley
an
Silver.
amazing, thing we got that done. Anyway.
And when we're, if any of your groups are running, run along Wagner Park this summer as much as you can. I'm just doing the shout out on the environmental side that Wagner Park will close for good sometime the end of the summer, and it will be no more. So go and enjoy the park as much as you can, because every tree, every plant, everything will come down, and 8 to 10 feet of new soil and amenities will come on top of it, like they're doing on the East River Park right now. So if anyone's taking a stroller, a jog, or a field trip with their kids, make it Wagner Park so they can take it in, because it will be no longer.
Wendy, you know what we were actually walking this weekend on Mother's Day,
What,
and
real
my
fast,
daughters asked me how far up is.
The Jewish Museum will have along the edge of their building will be marine glass.
Okay,
So the wall will be the building, and everything will be on the other side of that museum will be the wet side of the wall.
okay.
And that's where the
then
project
other-
stops for now. The South Battery Park ends at the museum, and they will continue up, but that's another that's another staging. That will happen later. And then
What are they doing with the?
I'm
Mhm.
sorry, go ahead.
no, I'm sorry. Are we done with the
With the-
official, are we done with the official business? So should I keep recording or?
You can stop recording actually, because
Okay.
we are off topic, but we're still on a
Thanks.
youth topic, but we're on a
Thanks. I
different
just
youth
want,
topic.
I just want to make sure I want to differentiate.
Yeah, that's fine. What I was curious just for in terms as a kids,